More rain last night, more rain today, and as I looked out on the yard this morning, I can just see big puddles everywhere. So here's the day today that we've all been waiting for, or at least I've been waiting for since I put down this seed. So first let me give you a general update on how things look right now. We're at the 16-day mark after I put down the seed. So the ryegrass is really starting to get tall right now, but the bluegrass is also coming in right there. Let me give you a few close-ups of what things are looking like. So now you can see a lot of these ryegrass plants, instead of being one single plant, they're getting some more grass leaves off of the one plant, which means they're getting at a stage here where we can cut that, and we also know that they're into the ground. So I usually just come in, kind of pull on a couple of them very, very lightly and see if they're in the ground, and yep, everything is pretty well rooted in the ground right now. So that means that it's time that we can actually start mowing, and most of the time if you're going for a taller lawn, you would say wait until the new grass gets to about 3 inches and then cut it down to 2. Since I'm going for a much shorter lawn here and I'm going to try to train it to do that right away, I might be able to go a little bit lower right now, and it's not going to hurt the grass too much if we break a little bit of the 1/3 rule when we're first starting out here, but I'm going to see how it goes with the mower. It's much easier to train grass to grow lower when we're at this stage than it is to try to train grass that's been established for a while at a certain height. So this is going to adapt a lot more quickly, and I'll kind of show you that as we go here as well. So if you're following along with me on Instagram, you probably saw that I got another mower, and yes, I know it's kind of an addiction. However, I didn't have one of these manual reel mowers, and I found one on Craigslist for a really good price. It was only used one time, and it's basically brand new, so I thought, you know, it's not really a bad idea to have a backup just in case, especially when you're going lower with your yard. If for some crazy reason that something happens to your main machine, you kind of either have to let it get taller and try to transition back to that, or it's a good idea to maybe have a little bit of a manual backup system here. So since I found that for a good price, I just decided to go for it. And today it's also going to be useful for our first couple cuts here because it does not have a front roller like the Swordman does. So that's going to allow us to come in and cut the grass off without rolling it down first. And this grass is in a very delicate stage right now, so it's pretty easily rolled down. So this thing, without having that front roller, is going to allow the grass to come in, and then we can cut it off nicely, and it's going to work well for that. The other great thing about it is that it's extremely light, so what it's going to help us do with this renovation area is that we're going to be able to get to an end of a pass and then actually pick up the machine so we don't have to make any turns on the lawn. That's going to be helpful because, especially when this lawn is brand new, it's pretty easy to take your rotary mower in there and have to make some turns and cause a little bit of damage from the wheel marks. So what if you're not looking to go lower on your yard, you're just looking to do a regular cut? Well, I'll make one cut here with my Honda mower to kind of show you that, but I'm just not going to go ahead and make many turns on the yard with that machine. I'm just going to kind of do one straight pass and we'll see what it looks like. Make sure your blades are also sharp on your machine if you're going to be using a rotary mower. Very important for your first couple cuts, just to make sure that you don't rip out some grass and that we're making as clean of cut as possible. So there's the rotary cut. You can see it actually picks things up pretty nicely, looks pretty good. And that would definitely work as a first cut for sure. But like I said, I'm going to try to minimize the wheel traction and the wheel marks on this right now as the ground is still pretty soft. So I started cutting this section over here by the road probably a couple days ago already, just to kind of see as an experiment what would happen if I started cutting it and cutting it low. So I'm cutting it right there as low as this reel mower would go, which I believe the measurement says it's 1 1/8 inches, so very close to 1 inch. And so far it's looking pretty good at that height. It's kind of starting to spread out. Now I do have some bare spots there that I'm going to be overseeding just from some of the washout that I had, and luckily it looks like the rain is going to hold off here for a little while. So hopefully I can get things a little bit more established before we have some more rainstorms. Alright, so I've done that little bit of test spot there to see if the lowest setting on this mower is going to work. It looks like it's going to be okay. We're still cutting off the leaves and we're not cutting into where the plant is sending out more leaves. So by cutting it shorter now, it's going to tell the plant to send those leaves out at a shorter distance instead of sending them so far up. And also we're going to be using a little special thing here in a second that I'll show you after I get done mowing to help slow this down a little bit as well. Look at that beautiful, beautiful site so far. Looking really nice. Wow, wow, wow. So look at that. This is the moment that I'm starting to realize that all that hard work pays off. You always get to this point, but it always seems to take a while. But there it is, looking fantastic. Now I'm going to do a little bit of spraying with some growth regulator, and I'll show you a little bit more about that. And I also want to say very quickly here that first review of that little Greenworks reel mower, or any of those manual reel mowers that are very similar, I'll have a link to some of them on Amazon if you want to check out some of them, but so far I'm very impressed with it. It works very well, it's very easy to use, light so you can pick it up and kind of maneuver it wherever you want it to go. And of course I did a lot of leveling here, but I didn't feel like things were bouncing around too much either, which is nice. So first impression there, very impressed with it. I would definitely recommend one of those if you're going to be doing some low cutting, maybe as a backup, but also for this renovation stuff. Works fantastic. Okay, I've switched into my spraying long sleeve shirt now, but the next step today is just a little bit of this tnex now. I've talked about this a couple times on my channel before, but what this does is it really slows down the top growth of the grass, sends more of the energy into root growth. And right now I'm going to use a very, very small amount of this and spray it on here and just try to slow down that ryegrass just a little bit so that I can overseed in just a little more bluegrass, especially into some of those bare spots, and hopefully that will slow the ryegrass so that I can let that bluegrass come in a little bit better before I have to mow again. So that's the plan. I'm going to see how it works out, but let's get spraying. So normal rate of this product would be about, before I was spraying about 0.75 ounces per 1,000 square feet earlier this year on my front yard. That worked pretty well. But again, on very new grass, we're not going to stress it out too much with products yet. So I'm going to probably use maybe like 0.1 ounces right now. So it's just going to be a touch of it in there, sprayed with this thing. And I'm spraying again on 1,100 square feet here. So I'm going to fill up my sprayer just over 1 gallon of water and then spray that out evenly onto that area. Alright, and for our final task today, I'm going to be overseeding in just a little bit of bluegrass. So originally, I was using ryegrass and bluegrass, and a lot of what you're seeing right there of the taller stuff was definitely the rye. The bluegrass is a little bit shorter right now, and it's just starting to fill in. It's much slower. But once it does start to fill in, it's going to take all those little gaps that the ryegrass isn't filling right now. It's going to fill those in and start to spread in. So it'll be a while yet before all that happens, but so far I'm very happy with how it looks. But from those rainstorms that we had, I had some of the slope areas that kind of washed away. So today I'm going to take straight bluegrass. This is the exact same 3 varieties that I was using. And I'm just going to overseed in a little bit of straight bluegrass. I don't need any more rye at this point just because the rye is already coming in very strong. And we don't want it to completely take over the little bit of bluegrass that's there right now. So a little more bluegrass going down today, a little bit of a covering on that, and then we'll begin to water. I was beginning to see bluegrass at about 7 days last time, which is pretty fast. And then of course it just kind of sits there and doesn't do a whole lot while it's just starting to get going. But a little more overseeding today with this stuff right here. So I hope you enjoyed this video today, and hopefully you'll check out a few other videos on my channel. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.